Hello, this is Mr. Collier, and today we're going to be finding the slope of a line using 2 points that are on the line. Alright, so here are 2 points of a line. Now remember, if you have 1 point, you can draw any line you want through 1 point, but if you have 2 points, there's only one line that goes through 2 points. And that line has a particular slope, and we're going to find the slope of this line today. So obviously, if you got time and you got graph paper, you can graph these 2 points and then find the slope from the graph. So here's 1, 2, and here's 3, 6 is right there. We can graph that line. It's not too straight, that's okay. And we can find the slope. So to find the slope, we're going to find the rise and the run. So to get from one point to another point, we can go right 2, up 1, up 4. So the slope is equal to rise over run, which equals 2. Alright? So that takes a lot of work sometimes to graph lines and then find the slope that way. If you look carefully, you can actually find it from just the numbers, right? So remember, slope equals rise out of run, which equals change in y divided by change in x, which is like the rate of change of the y's, right? So if you look at the numbers, this is, we'll call this x1, y1, x2, y2. If you look at these numbers here, let's look at the y values. What's the change in the y values? Well, let's go from one. Let's go this way. Okay, from 2 to 6. What's the change from 2 to 6? The change is 4, right? And what's the change from 1 to 3? That's a change of 2. Alright, so the change in y out of change in x is 4 out of 2. The y value increased by 4, the x value increased by 2. Your change is 4 out of 2, which is 2. So you can take these, you can look at these numbers here and find the change in y and the change in x and calculate it that way. Okay? So if you think about it for any point, you can always do this. You can find the change in y by just subtracting the y values. You can find the change in x by just subtracting the x values. So in general, you can find the slope of an equation by doing like y2 minus y1 out of x2 minus x1. That's the change in the y values divided by the change in the x values, like I did in this example. You can do 6 minus 2 is 4, 3 minus 1 is 2, and then your rate of change is 4 divided by 2, which is 2. So we don't need to graph to find the slope. We can use this thing here, which is called the slope formula. Very important. Alright? Alright. So we're going to use that now in the next couple of examples. So we're going to find the slope without graphing of that one. I believe that's the same as what we just did. Yeah, so let's just redo that and show you how it works. So slope equals y2 minus y1 out of x2 minus x1, which equals 6 minus 2 out of 3 minus 1, right? So I subtract the y values and the x values, and I get 4 out of 2, which equals 2. So some people like to ask, how do you know which one's the x1 and which one's the x2? It actually doesn't matter. We could also do it the other way around. Instead of 6 minus 2, we could have done 2 minus 6. Okay, we go this way. We're going to subtract this way, 2 minus 6. But then you also have to go this way with the x values. We're going to subtract, and we're going to do 1 minus 3. So if you do this calculation, you're going to get negative 4 out of negative 2. Negative divided by negative is positive, so you also get 2. So no matter which way you go, you should get the same slope. The next example, like it doesn't matter which one's the x1 and x2. Let's just call this x1 y1, x2 y2, and let's go ahead and use our equation to find the slope. Slope equals y2 minus y1 out of x2 minus x1, which equals, now let's be very careful, this is where mistakes often happen. We're doing 5 minus negative 2. That's a 5 minus negative 2. Alright, not just 5 minus 2, it's 5 minus negative 2 out of 0 minus 2. Change in the x. So remember now, 5 minus negative 2 is like 5 plus 2, which is 7. And in the denominator, 0 minus 2 is negative 2. So we can write that as negative 7 out of 2 or negative 3.5. Usually we prefer a fraction answer for a slope because this tells us, like if we want to graph it now, this tells us we can go down 7 and right 2 to get our points. Down 7, right 2, down 7, right 2, down, you know what I mean? So we usually write slope answers as fractions.